My name doesn't matter anymore. On the streets they called me Bizzy. And for years that name alone was enough to make grown men look down, to make enemies vanish, to make entire blocks go silent when I rolled through. I wasn't just another banger from South Central. I was Florencia-13. I was the word, the law, the judge, the jury, and the executioner. People think gang life is about colors, hand signs, and turf wars. They don't know shit. Real power in the streets isn't about who yells the loudest or who's got the most guns. It's about fear. And I mastered fear like a fucking instrument. I grew up in Florence Firestone, one of the grittiest hoods in South Central LA. My pops was gone before I could remember him. My mom worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on, but it was never enough. By the time I was 12, I was already running with the older homies. At 14, I put in work for the first time. A rival from 18th Street who got caught slipping at a bus stop. I didn't hesitate. I didn't cry. I didn't feel anything. That's when I knew I was built different. By 16, I was jumped into Florencia. By 18, I was calling shots. By 22, I was running the whole South Side operation. The OGs respected me because I was ruthless. I didn't ask questions. I didn't negotiate. You crossed the line, you disappeared. Simple as that. Prison only made me stronger. I did my first bid at 24. 5 years for assault with a deadly weapon. But inside, I didn't lose power. I gained it. County jail, state pen, federal yards. It didn't matter. Wherever I went, Florencia-13 was there. And wherever Florencia was, I was in control. I ran the tier like a general. I decided who ate, who got protected, who got checked. I built alliances with the Mexican mafia, La M, and I made sure every new recruit knew, you don't move without my say-so. You don't speak without my permission. You don't breathe unless I tell you to. When I got out, the streets welcomed me back like a king. My crew had grown. We had our hands in everything. Drug distribution, extortion, gun trafficking. I had soldiers on every corner, lookouts on every block, and enforcers who would pull the trigger without asking why. I didn't need to be everywhere. My name did the work for me. But here's the thing about power. It's a drug. And just like any drug, it makes you paranoid. It makes you see enemies where there are none. It makes you think everyone's out to take what's yours. And I was right. It started small. Little things. Money that didn't add up. Packages that came up short. Rumors about one of my lieutenants skimming off the top. At first, I let it slide. You can't run an operation this big without some friction. But then it kept happening. And happening. And happening. One night, I got a call from one of my most trusted soldiers. A vato named Chuco. He'd been with me since we were kids. We grew up on the same block. Did our first bid. Together, she'd blood together. If anyone was loyal, it was him. Bizzy, he said, his voice low. We got a problem. I met him at a spot we used in Compton, a garage behind an auto shop where we handled business away from prying eyes. When I pulled up, Chuco was standing outside, smoking a cigarette. He looked nervous. That was the first red flag. Inside, 2 of my guys were holding someone down on the concrete floor. I recognized him immediately. Flaco. One of the younger cats who'd been moving weight for us in Watts. His face was already swollen, blood dripping from his nose. What's this about? I asked, keeping my voice calm. Chuco handed me a crumpled piece of paper. It was a ledger, handwritten, messy, but clear enough. Flaco had been keeping a second set of books. He'd been pocketing thousands over the last few months, thinking no one would notice. I looked down at Flaco. He was crying, begging, saying it wasn't what it looked like. That he had debts. That his girl was pregnant. That he needed the money. I didn't say anything. I just nodded at Chuco. He pulled out a .38 and put 2 rounds in Flaco's chest. The sound echoed in that garage like thunder. Flaco's body jerked twice, then went still. Blood pooled around him, thick and dark. I stared at it for a moment, then turned and walked out. Chuco and the others would handle the rest. That should have been the end of it. A lesson, a warning. But it wasn't. Because 2 weeks later, I found out. Chuco had been lying to me. A homie named Smiley Poi came to me with proof. Photos, text messages, bank statements. Chuco wasn't just skimming. He was working with another crew, moving product on the side, cutting Florencia out of the deal. He'd been doing it for over a year. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Betrayal. Chuco had been my brother, my right hand, the one person I thought I could trust, and he'd been playing me the whole time. I didn't call him. I didn't confront him. I just set it up. We lured him to a house in Inglewood under the pretense of a meeting with a connect. When he walked in, 6 of my guys were waiting. They tied him to a chair in the basement. No duct tape over his mouth. I wanted to hear him talk. When I walked down those stairs and he saw me, his face went white. "Bizzy, listen!" I punched him in the mouth before he could finish. His head snapped back, blood spraying across the concrete wall. "You think I'm stupid?" I said, my voice cold. "You think I wouldn't find out?" He tried to explain, tried to say it wasn't what it looked like, that he was just trying to make extra for his family, that he never meant to disrespect me. I didn't care. I beat him for 20 minutes. Fists, a bat, a chain. I wanted him to feel every ounce of pain he'd caused me. I wanted him to understand what betrayal cost. When I was done, I told one of the guys to finish it. I didn't stay to watch. I walked out, got in my car, and drove home. But that night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I felt something I hadn't expected. Emptiness. After Chuko, everything changed. I couldn't trust anyone. Every smile felt fake. Every handshake felt like a trap. I started seeing snakes everywhere. I had 3 more guys killed over the next few months. 1 for talking to the wrong people. 1 for showing up late to a meeting. 1 for looking at me the wrong way. I didn't need evidence. I didn't need proof. If I felt it, that was enough. My crew started to fracture. Guys who'd been loyal for years started disappearing. Not because I killed them, but because they saw the writing on the wall. They knew I'd lost it. And they didn't want to be next. But I didn't care. I convinced myself I was cleaning house. Getting rid of the weak, the disloyal, the rats. What I didn't know was that the FBI had been watching me the whole time. They'd been building a case for 2 years. They had wiretaps on my phones, surveillance cameras on my spots. And worst of all, they had informants inside my own crew. One of them was Smiley, the same guy who'd brought me the evidence on Chuko. He'd been wearing a wire for 6 months. Every conversation, every order, every murder I authorized, it was all on tape. The day they came for me, I was at a barbecue in Linwood. It was supposed to be a celebration. A new shipment had come in and we were about to expand into Long Beach. I was standing by the grill, beer in hand, feeling like I was back on top. Then I heard the helicopters. 30 federal agents stormed the yard. DEA, FBI, ATF. They had dogs, rifles, and warrants for everyone. I didn't run. I didn't fight. I just stood there as they cuffed me and read me my rights. In the car, on the way to the federal building, I realized something. I destroyed my own empire. I've been in this cell for 3 years now. Federal Supermax. 23 hours a day in isolation. No windows, no visitors. Just me and the walls. They gave me life without parole. 17 counts. Racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder, drug trafficking, witness tampering. The evidence was overwhelming, Smiley testified. So did 4 others, guys I'd broken bread with, guys I'd called family. At first I was angry. I wanted revenge. I made plans in my head, how I'd get word out, how I'd have them touched, how I'd make them pay. But after a while, the anger faded, and all that was left was the truth. I didn't lose because of the feds. I didn't lose because of the snitches. I lost because of me. Every person I killed, every order I gave, every time I chose fear over loyalty, violence over trust, I was building my own cage. I thought I was protecting my empire, but I was suffocating it. Chuko betrayed me, yeah, but I created the environment where betrayal was the only option. I ruled through terror, and terror doesn't breed loyalty. It breeds survival. And when people are just trying to survive, they'll do anything, even turn on you. I think about all the faces, Flaco, Chuko, the others. I see them every night when I close my eyes. Not because I regret pulling the trigger, I don't, but because I realize now that they were just reflections of me. Desperate, broken, trying to hold on to something that was already slipping away. I built Florencia-13 into a machine, but machines don't have hearts, they don't have souls, and eventually they break down. I was busy, the shot caller, the enforcer, the king, and now I'm just another number in a system that forgot my name. The first few months in Supermax, I didn't talk to anyone, didn't want to. What was there to say? I was done. Finished. The world outside kept spinning, and I was just a ghost trapped in a concrete box. But isolation does something to your mind. It peels back layers you didn't even know existed. You start hearing things, remembering things, conversations you thought you'd forgotten. Faces you thought you'd buried. One night, lying on that steel bunk staring at the ceiling, I started thinking about my mother. She died while I was doing my second bid. Heart attack. She was only 53. I got the news from a corrections officer who slid a piece of paper under my cell door. No phone call. No chance to say goodbye. Just a cold, typed note. Inmate 4728B. Your mother, Rosa Martinez, passed away on June 14th. Funeral arrangements have been made by family. I didn't cry. Not then. I crumpled up the paper, threw it in the corner, and lay down. I told myself I didn't care. That she'd made her choice, working herself to death for nothing while I built an empire. I convinced myself I was better off without her guilt trips, without her prayers, without her looking at me like I was some kind of monster. But now, in this cell, I couldn't stop thinking about her. About the last time I saw her. It was right before I got jumped in. I was 14, coming home late. Blood on my shirt from a fight. She grabbed me by the shoulders, tears streaming down her face, and said, "Mijo, this life will take everything from you. And when it's done, you'll have nothing. Not even yourself." I pushed her off. Told her she didn't understand. That I was somebody now. That I had brothers, power, respect. She just shook her head and walked away. I never apologized. Never told her I loved her. Never gave her anything but pain. And now she was gone. And I was here. Exactly where she said I'd be. Then, there were the letters. I didn't expect anyone to write me. My crew was scattered. My enemies wanted me dead. My family had disowned me years ago. But about 6 months into my sentence, I got a letter from someone I never thought I'd hear from again. Flaco's little sister. Her name was Lucia. She was 16 when I had her brother killed. Now she was 22. The envelope had no return address, just my name and inmate number scrawled across the front in shaky handwriting. I almost didn't open it. Part of me wanted to burn it. But something made me read it. Dear Bizzy, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't even know if I should be writing it. But I need to say this, even if you never respond. You killed my brother. You took him from us. And for years I hated you. I hated you so much that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I wanted you dead. I prayed for it. I dreamed about it. But then I found out the truth. I found out that Flaco wasn't innocent. That he was stealing. That he was lying. That he knew what he was doing. And I realized something. You didn't kill my brother. He killed himself. He made choices that led him to that garage. Just like you made choices that led you to that cell. I'm not writing to forgive you. I'm writing because I need you to know that your actions didn't just take one life. They destroyed an entire family. My mom never recovered. She drinks every day now. My little brother joined a gang because he thinks that's the only way to survive. And me? I'm trying to get out of this city before it swallows me whole. I don't know what you feel in that cell. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. But I hope you understand that the violence you caused didn't end with Flaco. It rippled out. It poisoned everything it touched. I hope you find peace. Or at least, I hope you stop destroying lives. Even your own. Lucia. I read that letter 20 times, maybe more. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to crumple it up and forget about it. But I couldn't. Because she was right. I didn't just kill Flaco. I killed his family. I killed his future. I killed every person who depended on him. And I did it without a second thought. And that's when the weight of it all finally hit me. I didn't cry. But I felt something crack inside my chest. Something that had been locked away for so long, I forgot it was even there. Guilt. Time in Supermax doesn't move like it does outside. Days bleed into weeks. Weeks. Into months. You lose track. You stop counting. You just exist. But somewhere in year 4, something changed. I started talking to the other inmates. Not much, just small exchanges through the walls. Taps, codes, whispers through the vents. Most of them were lifers like me. Guys who'd burned their lives to the ground and had nothing left but the walls around them. One of them was a guy named Earl. He was in the cell next to mine. Former gang leader from Compton. Bloods. He'd been locked up for 20 years. Life without parole. Triple homicide. We didn't talk about the streets. We didn't brag about what we'd done. We just talked about stupid shit, movies, sports, what we'd eat if we ever got out. One night, Earl asked me a question I wasn't ready for. Yo, Bizzy, you ever think about the man you could have been? I didn't answer right away. I just sat there, staring at the wall. I mean, he continued, Before all this, before the gang, before the bodies, who were you? I thought about it, really thought about it, and I realized I didn't know. I'd been busy for so long that I'd forgotten who I was before the colors, before the violence, before the fear. I don't remember, I finally said. Earl was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that stuck with me ever since. That's the real prison, homie. Not these walls. The fact that you don't even know who you were before they made you into a monster. That night, I did something I hadn't done in over a decade. I looked at myself. Really looked. There's a small, scratched-up piece of metal in my cell that sort of works as a mirror. I usually avoid it. But that night I stood in front of it and stared at my reflection. The face looking back at me wasn't the same one I remembered. My eyes were hollow. My skin was gray. My hair was thinning. I looked old, tired, dead. I didn't see Bizzy. I didn't see the shot caller. I didn't see the king. I just saw a broken man. A man who'd thrown away everything for power that didn't even exist. A man who'd destroyed everyone around him because he was too scared to face his own emptiness. A man who'd become the very thing he once feared. I pressed my hand against the cold metal and whispered something I never thought I'd say. I'm sorry. Not to anyone in particular. Not to Flaco. Not to Chuco. Not to my mother. Just sorry. For all of it. A few months later, I got another letter. This time it was from Chuco's son. His name was Miguel. He was 11 years old when I killed his father. Now he was 15. The letter was short. Just a few lines. You took my dad from me. I'll never forgive you. But I want you to know something. I'm not going to be like him. I'm not going to be like you. I'm going to be better. And when I make it out of this hood, I'm going to do it without blood on my hands. I hope you rot in that cell. Miguel. I read that letter once, and then I folded it up and kept it in my pocket. Not because I wanted to punish myself, but because it was the first time someone had beaten me. Not with a gun, not with a snitch, not with the feds, but with something I'd lost a long time ago. Hope. Miguel wasn't going to be like me. He wasn't going to repeat the cycle. He was going to break it. And somehow, that felt like the only victory I'd ever have. I don't know what happens when I die. I don't know if there's a heaven or a hell or just nothing, but if there is something, I know where I'm going. I'll face every person I killed, every family I destroyed, every life I ruined, and I'll tell them the truth. I was a coward. I was weak. I was afraid. And I destroyed everything because I couldn't face myself. But maybe, just maybe, someone out there will read this and realize what I didn't until it was too late. Power isn't real. Fear isn't strength. And the empire you build with blood will always collapse under its own weight. I was Bizzy, the shot caller, the king of Florencia-13, and now I'm just a cautionary tale, a ghost, a warning. The end.